Welcome to Shabbat Family Hour. And while I'm not your host, I'm your co-host, Leah. I'm here to introduce a lovely song made by a member of the written by a member of the Covenant, Charles. Score was by me. It is a song that I feel very important to these times. The song is named Hashem. And if we could play that now.
To the everlasting and majestic guide of doubt, the beloved, with Yahowah I find someone I can trust to keep me safe, such that I am comfortable, confident and harmonious. So why would you say of my soul, flee to your mountain like a bird? Indeed, behold, those guilty of vexing religious malfeasance have bent the bow, they have fashioned and aimed arrows upon the string to shoot through the darkness and shadows at those who are straightforward and correct in their thinking and judgment. Indeed, when the most basic principles are torn down, what should those who are right do? Yahowah is in his set-apart sanctuary and royal residence. Yahowah's seat of honor is in the heavens. He uses his faculty of sight to perceive what can be observed regarding the agreement. His gaze like a beam of light assesses the children of man. Yahowah examines the genuineness of those who are upright and correct, the deceitful one who is wrong and religious, and the one who is fond of violence. He hates his soul. He hates his soul. He hates his soul. He will bring down on those who misled and are mistaken, the deceitful and religious, a means of incarceration comprised of burning light and brimstone, in addition to a scorching spirit of righteous indignation, a fitting receptacle and an appropriate fate for them. Concerning those who are right and thus vindicate gaze upon his face.
Beautiful. I love the music with the lyrics and the
Yes.
visual score behind it. I understand that was a collaborative effort. We have Charles, who was the principal author of the song. I think we have Leah working also on the song, and Kevin, that was you as well.
Yeah, we all worked together on that.
Wow.
Lovely. What I'm looking forward to is actually having the opportunity to see it in real time. For those who don't know, and welcome to the family hour of the YAHOWAH blog. We have Kirk here, and we have Kevin, and guess who is the handsome fellow off to what that would be screen right. Even my right, but screen right. We have Rich as well as Leah is out catering Wookie's pool party dinner this evening. But for those that don't know, when you're doing a live program like this that is a live stream, the only way that you actually get to see everybody is for us to get the feed that is going up to the satellite, back down from the satellite, fed through our streaming company, and then through to Facebook. So it's about an 8-second delay. And it's like, if I make a gesture right now, you'll see my gesture. I'll see my gesture in about 8 seconds. So it's a little discombobulated to be watching a video and seeing lyrics, and you're seeing the lyrics of that which was sung about 8 seconds ago. But nonetheless, it was beautifully written, beautifully scored, beautifully sung, and it is a lovely way to introduce Family Hour. So thank you all for contributing to it. Kirk, you did send me an article today that we'll have to find a program here in the future to go over, because it was stunning to me. I had no idea. I thought I was I kept pretty good tabs on history, and the article is that the U.S. Revolution was a complete ruse, and that Thomas Jefferson, who I view as the smartest of all Americans in the history of this country, absolutely lied when he spoke of the tyranny of the British Empire, and the whole notion of representation without taxation was completely false. And the Boston Tea Party was a farce as well. Boy, when you read the story of taxation before and after, and the freedoms enjoyed before and after, and why the Boston Tea Party actually occurred in its conjunction with John Hancock, it certainly takes all the mythos out of.
Now the myth's destroyed, shattered.
Yeah, it certainly changes everything. I mean, I'd already had the understanding that the Revolutionary War was not popular, that 2 out of every 3 colonists wanted to stay with the crown, and it was only 1 out of every 3. So it was really an insurrection. And as is the case, often those with the guns that are the most aggressive insurrectionists prevail. Nazi Germany, 3% of those at the beginning of the rise of Adolf Hitler were Nazis, and Russia against the Tsar, only 3% of the Russians were Marxists. About 3% of Chiang Kai-shek's China were Maoists, and look what happened. 3%, if they're properly motivated and sufficiently vicious, can take over a country, and it certainly appears that that's what happened in the overthrow of the British Crown. Not that I'm going to shed a tear for the British Crown or for the British Empire.
I like the text plan.
Yeah, since we're at Independence Day for America, July 4th, which was scheduled as one of the readings or one of the printings of the Declaration of Independence with Thomas Jefferson was debuted at this time, is the justification for the 4th of July. But when you actually know the history of it, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll do that on another show. I would love to share all the details that underlie that conclusion. What we're going to do today, we are going to limit our family hour to a family hour today. We are going to return to where we were on our program on Qatsyr Harvest, our last time through, which was considering Yahowah's presentation of Shabbat, since this is a program, a whole series that is dedicated to the Shabbat harvest. I thought it'd be interesting to do and just return to that. I will say that I had a desire, and if I didn't run out of time today, I think we would have begun it. Maybe I'll do so here in the next couple of days. But while we do have 4 series currently underway, which is a lot to juggle between. We have the Coming Home series out there in the Ocean studio now with Leah involved in it. We still have the Rainbow studio with the Appalling Twistianity, which really isn't talking about Twistianity at the moment. It's delving into Debatim 18, which is what I'm currently translating also for Coming Home Volume 4 downstairs. And then here we're doing both Qatsyr Harvest, which we're going to continue with, and also a fascinating series called Chakma Chodar. But I'd like to interject, I think, a 5th theme. And that 5th theme, because I was talking the other day about the timing of coming to the conclusion that Shabbat was going to be on 22 September 2026. But I think it's important that our listeners know how many calculations are required to get to that time. Mm-hmm. There is no place that Yahowah says, oh, by the way, on the pagan Roman calendar that is picked up and adjusted by the Roman Catholic Church, both of which are the beasts of born and bred in Babylon that are tormenting my people, that on the 22nd of May in the year of the Lord 2026, we're going to have the Shabbat harvest.
You guys aren't going to know what this is yet, but just wait for it.
Yes. Right? So that doesn't occur. So you have to. There's a lot of calculation that goes into this, and I just think it's always important to be forthright and to lay all your cards on the table, face up, and say, "This is what I'm working with." And this is how I came to this conclusion. I just think it adds credibility and confidence to actually be non-dogmatic and to be vulnerable. That's it's always been my view throughout this whole process. So I want to do a series on that, and that will take us into Daniel with what Gabriel provided as a timeline. And so I expect that will be our 5th running series, and we'll start it here soon to go through all of those calculations, because I would really like not only for our listeners to understand just how complicated it was to come up with this time, but also to have an appreciation for all of the other machinations that are happening around this time that are important to them if they want to capitalize on this opportunity, which is exactly what Yahowah is encouraging. So this begins, and feel free to jump in. It's nice to have Rich here. I think that for those who have been listening for a while, they know that Rich has moved to the island full time. He is a technologist. He is also an artist, and so he is exceedingly familiar with all of the equipment we're using. When I say like this is a Shure 7B mic, he will give then all of the alpha designations after it, and he will tell you who used that mic to sing what song, and some
that's the
interesting, historical context. So he knows his stuff, and we're now using much more sophisticated setup. You should see his switchboard over there, switchboards over there that he has going, and all the feeds that he is monitoring simultaneously, because it is much more difficult to produce a live stream like this than it is a recorded show where you have all sorts of editing opportunities. So thank you, Rich.
Yes.
You're welcome.
This is what Yahweh said. You should act to capitalize upon. Well, the first word here is a verb. It's the verb asha. It means you should do what is required by expending the considerable energy and effort to accomplish the purpose. Now, to introduce Shabuah with a word that is asha, is God suggesting that you can sit around and lick lollipops and eat bonbons and you ought to be good to go?
No. It's a considerable effort. It's
considerable effort. So if he is talking about considerable effort and he is contributing to his Torah, where do you think that the most logical place would be to invest one's time?
Reading the Torah.
In his
Study.
Torah, yeah.
Yeah, reading the Torah. So when somebody says, "Can you just dumb it down for me, or give it to me in simple strokes, or I want the Cliff Notes version,"
That can't be that dumb.
Yeah, well, you just can't be.
Can't be that lazy.
Well, also, you would deprive them of the very thing that God is asking for here.
Absolutely.
And it is in the effort that we grow. It is in the effort that we gain knowledge, and we then can transition from knowledge to understanding. And if you don't invest the effort, Ashah, then you're back to faith. And faith is worthless. Beliefs are worthless. And so the only way you can know and therefore rely and trust God is to invest the energy. So God says you should act to capitalize upon. The feast. Well, the fact that it is a feast means that it is a chag. It's a celebration. So this is a celebration of the relationship with Yahweh. God is throwing a party, and he has invited us to attend that party. It means that God likes to celebrate things. He isn't the kind of God that would say, "I want you to bow down to me." You do not come to a party and you do not bow down to the host of the party. He is simply inviting us to attend a feast, a festival party. And then the feast is Chag Shabuah. Now, another place when we have considered the menu of Shabuah, we find that the menu of Shabuah actually reflects all of the things that we have been talking about. It has a bull, Adam Parah. It has a goat. That would be Elia as the goat. It speaks of a lamb, and the lamb would be Dod, who has already and will fulfill a moed on either side of Shabuah. So the menu actually directs our attention to the things that are accomplished not only on Teruah, but also toward the fulfillment of Yom Kippurim and the animals that with the returning Lamb of God, sprinkling the blood of a goat and a bull on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant to fulfill the process of reconciling Yisrael back into fellowship with Yahweh. So you should act and capitalize upon the feast of Shabuah. Shabuah is the promise of the Shabbat. It is the oath of weeks. It is 7 sevens. And it is the next of the Moed Mikre to be fulfilled. Because it is sevens, we know its timing is 7 years prior to the time that Dod and Yahweh are going to return in year 6000 Yah, which is 2033 CE. That means that it is in 2026. 33 minus 7 is 26. And So 2026 is the year, and all you have to do is look up the timing of Abib in 2026, and then you can go from there to the 15th day, which will take you to Matzah, and it is 7 weeks from Matzah would be the timing of this event. So that is our schedule here. So it is the feast of Shabuah of 7 sevens, the promise of 7, which means that God's plan revolves around 7. You know, you look over my left shoulder here and you see the spinning menorah. The candle that is in the middle of that menorah represents Shabuah. The first 3 on the menorah represent Pesach, Matzah, and Bikurim. And the last 3 would represent the 3 Moed Mikre that'll be fulfilled in your 6,000 Yah, Teruah, Kippurim, and Sukkah. And so it is in the middle of the 7. And it is a promise of 7 for you to approach, La Ata, as a Bikurim, first fruits, Qatsyr, harvest. All right, so now we have the realization that it's a time to approach. So Shabuah is a time to approach, and the speaker here is Yahowah. So it'd be the time to approach Yahowah. And he is equating this to Bikurim. What can we deduce from the fact that Shabuah is a Bikurim, Qatsyr, or harvest?
Well, from Bikurim, that's the adoption papers, but that's also that the day that, you know, Dode comes back as the not the resurrection, but I mean that he gets out of Sheol at that point. So I mean, first we become children as well. We get our adoption papers, and it's the harvest of those people.
Oh, that's true. Wasn't the answer I was looking for, but all of that is true. Rich, Kirk, you want
to barely hear what he said. So,
okay. All right. Okay.
I'm kind of don't sound much.
By being, okay, I'm sorry. Well, being a first fruits harvest, Bikurim harvest, means that to participate in Shabuah, you will have had to have benefited from Pesach and Matzah, because Bikurim is the result of Pesach and Matzah. So the only way to be a participant in the Shabuah harvest, the Qatsyr, is to have correctly attended Pesach and Matzah. By correctly attending, I don't care what date that you celebrated on, so long as you're close to the instructions that Yahweh has given. I don't care how you cook your lamb, or what piece of lamb that you you eat, or how you buy or make your matzah and your olive oil with the bitter herbs, or whether or not you choose to have a glass of red wine with it. That's of no matter to me. I don't care if you invite Elia to your dinner or not. What I care about is, do you understand when it was fulfilled, where it was fulfilled, who fulfilled it, and what occurred, why was it fulfilled? Because if you can't capitalize upon Pesach and Matzah, then you can't be part of the Shabuah harvest. That's the point that Yahweh is making here, because Bikurim is the result of Pesach and Matzah, and Shabuah is the result of Bikurim. And so if 1 + 2 leads to 3, and 3 is equivalent to 4, then you need to participate in 1 + 2, or you can't capitalize on 3 or 4. It also says, very similar to what you said, Kevin, is that with Shabuah being a Bikurim, first fruits harvest, since first fruits means firstborn children, that means that all of those who are harvested on Shabuah are children within the covenant, because it is a firstborn children, Bokurim, harvest. Now that's important, because what that just tells us is, with the name of Bokur, and Bokurim is the plural of that. Bokur is the word that Yahweh ascribes to Dod to say he is my firstborn son. And so this is many children, like Dod, who was the firstborn child of Yahweh. And it tells us that while Bokurim is metaphorically associated with barley, and Shabuah is metaphorically associated with various types of wheats, that God's not bringing barley and wheat to heaven. He's bringing Bokurim, firstborn children. So now we know that the harvest is of firstborn children, and we know we participate in it by capitalizing upon what David did in year 4000 Yah, 33 CE, when he, as he had promised at the time that he had announced, sacrificed his Bashar body as the Passover lamb, and then he allowed his Nefesh soul to be burdened with our political and religious guilt, carried it into Sheol to be deposited, never to be seen again, making us appear perfect before God, which allowed the firstborn to sign our adoption papers into the covenant family, so that we become the children of God, both enriched and empowered by him. And those are the people that Yahweh is now Qatsyr, in gathering, reaping, harvesting on Shabuah. So it's a marvelous explanation of just what it is. So this is a party to celebrate us being ingathered and harvested into God's home as firstborn children of God, those who have been made immortal by Pesach and perfected by Matzah, based upon what David is the Son of God and the Messiah and King have done for us in the second of three lives. Now, we know that while Bokurim is a barley harvest, it is the time of year when barley is still receptive and growing, and that barley is cut while it's still green and growing, and it's actually allowed to lie on the ground while it dries. Now, that's exactly the opposite of wheat. Wheat cannot be sickled when it's moist, or it will rot. And therefore, it has to be firm, more rigid, upright, more mature when it is cut, which is why the metaphor is different. Those who would participate in Bokurim are very early in their development, and it is something where the people that are receptive to it are still green and growing and receptive, if you will, and that it is later during the summer where the wheat has grown and become tall, prominent, more rigid and mature, that it is cut. So it is a wheats plural. It is chetim, wheats plural, mature and valued grains, known for projecting themselves and standing up prominently. So by choosing a word that reflects the idea of being mature, valued, and standing up prominently, we have another definition of those who will be harvested, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that doesn't say anything here about them being made into bread, does it? No. But it talks about individuals who are mature, so they've grown up in this relationship, which means they have acted and studied the Torah, and they know what God is offering and expecting in return. They are projecting themselves so that others know about this relationship. They're standing up prominently, which means they're engaged in communicating this message to God's people.
Yeah.
You know,
doing the work.
They're doing the work. That's what's happening here. They're the individuals that are doing the work, and that's what God is conveying through Chittim. Then it says, again, for a second time, and as a Chag celebration. So from God's point of view, Shabuah is a Chag. It's Chag
Really
Square.
good time.
It's a really good time. There is no reason to think that Yahweh had a really good time on Pesach Matzah B'Kurim. That was gruesome. And I can tell you that there's going to be mixed emotion with Towrah, because there's also a sacrifice on Towrah.
Yes.
And we know that even though Kippurim is the great day of Yahowah, with his return with his beloved son and the final reconciliation with this remnant of Yisrael, we know that the people there are going to be less than 24 hours mature in their relationship with Yahweh. And we know as well that they are going to be crying because of all of the harm and kind of anguish they put Dode through by not recognizing him all of those years. But there is nothing about Shabuah that isn't wonderful, except for the fact that, well, you are removing them from the time of trouble. That's kind of a nice thing to do for your family, keeping them out of the time of trouble. And now you know the next 7 years are going to be trouble. But Yahweh is setting, he's told us he's setting that one out anyway. So which means his focus is going to be on his ingathered family. And he is saying that the time of Shabuah is just chog, happy, party. Because there is nothing that is part of Shabuah that isn't absolutely wonderful. Leia's handing out treats now. This is I don't know if Wookie's had his taste test, but we are talking about.
He's after mine.
Yes, we are talking about a grand feast, and so that is specifically the time. So this Qatsyr, this ingathering of firstborn children and of those who are mature, valued, projecting themselves, standing up prominently, is a celebration. And it's a celebration of the Asif, which means it's a celebration of the ingathering, of gathering everybody together, of assembling them, of collecting them, of withdrawing them, and removing them. So we're being removed from a mess. The world is spiraling in a death spiral right now. And it's actually celebrating the those that are responsible for this death spiral, which is even more amazing. But it's imploding. So we are celebrating the fact that we're out of here. And we know that the story is going to turn out well, and we know it's going to be really ugly between the time that we're gathered in and the time that the story has happily ever after. And so there's just nothing other than celebrating for us.
Right.
There's really no reason for us to be anything other than happy. And
and back to B'Kurim, it's in the ancient world, firstborn meant something because there was inheritance rights that came along with it. We're not coming into God's family as some second-class citizen, or Dode's the king. Everybody knows Dode is Yah's firstborn son, but we're all coming in as firstborn children. We have inheritance rights to the universe and what God's given as well. So
correct.
That's something to celebrate.
Yes. So in God's family, there are many firstborn children. Yes. Dode is the right hand of God. He is Yahweh's firstborn. He gets the lion's share, literally the lion's share. He is the Lion of Judah, and he deserves everything that he is going to get. But the likelihood is that Dode is going to be very much like Yahowah. Yahowah wants to give away everything that's his to his children. And Dode is going to be charitable. And when you consider how much there is to inherit, we're just talking about this earth. I live on a little island. You've been here, Kirk. Rich lives here now. We live on a little island in the midst of the sea. But there must be hundreds of thousands of islands on this planet, and and by the time we reach this time, there aren't going to be hundreds of thousands of souls. And so, everybody can have their own island. Some people can have their own continent, I would suspect. Not that property rights are going to mean a whole heck of a lot,
Right.
but there's a lot to go around just on Earth. And, Earth is one planet among 8 in one solar system that represents one of 400,000 solar systems in one galaxy that represents, that we know of, 2 trillion galaxies. Yeah. And that's just in the 6th dimension.
Right.
So, I've never been concerned that, okay, let's say that we're really successful. We bring in a whole lot of people and we're slicing, this universe up into smaller segments. Well, shucks, you might only get, like a billion galaxies a person.
Oh.
Take my universe, please.
Yeah. So, and I'm not even sure I would want 100 billion universes or galaxies. I think that sharing one universe really ought to be a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, the amount that we're inheriting as the children of God gets us an inheritance that is both for the 1,000 years here on earth and for an eternity that is pretty darn spectacular. And while most of those who will benefit from the Shabuah harvest are going to spend all of that next 7 years with Yahowah and exploring the universe and having a great old time. For 9 of us, eight workers and myself, that time will be cut short. We don't know how short, but there are 8 plus 1 of us that come back. I think we come back prior to our arrival on the Temple Mount with Elia on the 1st of Abib in 2030. That's April 4th, I believe, in that year. And we certainly know that Yada and Elia are here at that time and will spend the next 3.5 years on Earth trying to get the attention of the final remnant of Yisrael. And then we're going to have this marvelous time where we have both. Wookiee's trying to get my attention and jump into my lap, but I can't reach down that far at the moment. But we do know we're going to have a time where we are going to have 3 kinds of people enjoying this planet. We're going to have those who were harvested on Shabuah, as well as some of those who were gathered in even on Bakurim. But to those who were harvested on Shabuah, those who were harvested on Towrah, mixed in with those who are the mortal remnant of Yisrael and have benefited from the red heifer. And we're going to have a number of Goyim who are going to be those who work just to maintain the systems, if you will, of the earth during this period. So that's going to be the group of people here. We're going to be here for 1,000 years that we know of. And then Yahowah's going to create a new universe with us as participants, which sounds pretty cool to me. And during that time, we should be able to sneak away from during an occasional galactic tour, if you will, and explore things outside of this planet, particularly those of us who are members of the covenant and have gone through this transformation. As a matter of fact, I think during the last program, there were a lot of people that asked, is Elia also going to make a sacrifice during this time? And conclusion that I have, because we've read a number of places where it says that the goat is in fact sacrificed to offer its blood for the anointing of the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant on Yom Teruah. And clearly the goat is sacrificed, and the Torah directions for that. Mm-hmm. And Elia represents the goat. In his case, it is an honor. He's going to go from the having his soul back in a mortal body that is going to be exceedingly uncomfortable from him after having been in heaven 2,880 some years. So it's going to be, that body is going to be a major drag and a burden from him. And he would then go from being the only covenant member left on earth that was still in a mortal body.
Right.
To discharging that body and say, man, hey, here you go, baby. I'm ready. Okay, I've done my part. It's now your show, Dode. I've done the introductions. I've collected the blood of the bull, and now I want you to take mine. And hey, baby, goodbye to this body. It's been an anchor. Good riddance. Right. And then he is like the rest of us. He is a spiritual being. So it's really a moment of just transformation for him.
He is going to be crabby for 3 years, isn't he? When he comes
back, is going to be crabby.
He's going to be
in a
foul mood.
Yes. Yeah. Leah is one of those people who is, what they call the near-death experience, where you're actually clinically dead and your soul departs from your body for a bit. And they all pretty much describe it the same way she does, which is that you go to a time no longer matters, and you're going to this place of just total lightlessness, not light in the sense of weightlessness, if you will. So all the burdens, the aches and pains, and the limitations of your body are gone, and you experience the situation as if light, and it's just beautiful, and it's so peaceful and so beautiful. And Leah's told me that many times when she experienced this, she kept on telling the attendant that was there, I like it here. I want to stay here. She says, nope, not your time. You got stuff to do. You're going back. Nope. I want to stay here. Nope. Sure. I've read the register. You got a job to do. There's a bull out there that is. He doesn't even know he's waiting for you, but he's waiting for you. So I'm sorry, you got work to do. So that transition from being mortal to immortal to getting rid of these physical bodies is so uplifting and empowering. It's one of the things why Christianity is just so utterly stupid, and so is Islam, where they're both based on once you die, you go back into a physical body. There's just no point. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's impossible, but beyond the fact that it's impossible for people to reconstruct their physical bodies, it's just counterproductive. That's exactly the opposite of what you're going to want. So you're right. Elia, for all of his humor, is going to be cranky having this physical body. And I'm going to tell you, by the time that I'm done with mine, that's what I've said. It is a thrill to be able to sacrifice it. I'll just be able to get out of mine 10 days before Elia. That'll make him crankier still, I'm sure. So there we go. All right. So outside of the Crankosaurus here, to read the whole statement, you should act to capitalize upon the feast of Shavuot, of the promise of the Shabbat. And this is for you to approach as a Bekurim, as a firstborn children, Qatsyr harvest of chatim, of wheats, of mature and valued grains, known for projecting themselves standing up prominently, as a chag celebration of the asif, the ingat, of this being withdrawn at this, the turning point, at the very end of the year, of this time of change. 34:22. So we are now a week of years. By that point will be a week of years, Shavuot, from the very end. So this is at the turning point when we go from the time of Jacob's troubles. So it is exactly as Yahowah has described. Well, he's pretty good at this prophecy stuff. So Yahowah's testimony, I would say, is direct, it's insightful, it's powerful, it's uncompromising, absolutely clear. You could have a ball with every one of these words and celebrate them, just as chag was the repeated term here. It tells us what we know about God, tells everybody what we know about God. He's fun. He has a good time. He even kids with us all the time. You read, well, I guess the reason I'm so tickled about, and my favorite prophecy is 2 Samuel 7, where Dode's muses about building Yahowah house because he's out there in the breeze and curtains, and he's got a house of cedar. And Yahweh's response to him is just hilarious. Because any time that I freed and guided the children of Israel, my children of Israel, whom I freed and guided, at any time during that whole experience, did I ever once ask, "Why don't you build me a house?" And did it ever dawn on you that I never asked for that? So why would you think I want one of those? So his answer is just fun. And, the very fact that Elia is the funniest guy and all of the God story, by far the funniest guy is Elia. And so what's the one guy that God plucks and says, I'm taking you now and I'm bringing you back when it really matters? Because he obviously likes a sense of humor.
Sarcasm takes some intelligence.
Yeah, you look at the three Zeroah, Moshe, Dode, and myself. God's got to have a sense of humor to pick anyone, much less all three of us, right? So, talk about a sense of humor. He's telling his prophet Hosea, "I want you to go marry a temple prostitute, so that you have an understanding of what it's like to be married to these religious whores that are parading around as Islam, or not Islam, but as Israel." And so clearly, God's got a sense of humor. Every time we have a conversation, I'm always okay, young man. Now. So. Oh, well, yeah, I just see God is exceedingly happy, positive outlook, likes to have fun, enjoys a good hard day's work, and appreciates people who are willing to engage, stand up, be accountable, and even if they're a bit roguish at times, these are the people that God likes. So, and he likes to party. His annual meetings with us, they're parties, they're chog, they're celebrations of the relationship. So Yahweh is absolutely committed to Shabbat being a harvest of firstborn children and celebrating this with a very, very hearty ongoing party. The only questions for us are how many will participate, and will you be among them? And I can tell you that if the answer is there's not a lot of participants, but the participants are upstanding individuals, intelligent, committed, prominent working, backbone, character, he's going to be delighted. Yahweh doesn't need a gang of people. He's not like Trump saying, "Well, 250,000 people at my birthday bash," even if there were 20,000 people maybe at the birthday bash. 250,000. No, God doesn't care. Really, he does not care if there are 10 or 10,000. He'd much rather have 10 wonderful people than he would have 10,000 malcreants. And he most certainly isn't looking for 10 million or 10 billion. To be with him, you have to be set apart. You have to be uncommon. You have to be non-religious and unpolitical. There's not a lot of those. I mean, if you eliminate right now the religious and the political, how many you got left?
Yeah, not many, and getting smaller by the day.
Yeah, not many, and getting smaller by the day. And unfortunately, when you look today, education has done such a disservice to people, such that they really don't process information rationally, and they've lost their moral compass. That while I realize there are some really outstanding young men and women that are part of the Covenant family, Leah's working with one in music production, I know, and that we have another that's the son of a covenant member family that's also into music production. There are some young people that are part of the covenant family. There's a young lady here on the island, native to the island, that began to read, and she's part of the covenant family. So there are those, but for the most part, today's youth are out of reach because you can't reason with them. And if you can't reason with them, then they're just like Israel, unreasonable. So here we are. We know that Yahweh wants to celebrate. So now that we clearly understand who will benefit from the Shavuot harvest and when they will be withdrawn and be with God, and how all of this relates to the prophetic intent of what we have read in Yoel, I think we should examine some of the terms that Yahweh inspired him to deploy. We can begin with, this would be Yoel, with Thyrosh. And it is defined, and that when Yoel, and the reason we went to this passage is Yoel gave a list of things that he said were going to be provided at this time. And, he spoke of the things that are associated with a harvest. And one of the things in that list was Thyrosh. And it was defined as the pressing of grapes. This would be grapes that are recently harvested from a vineyard that provide an inheritance. It offers all of the flavors of fresh wine, like a Beaujolais, with just enough fermentation to eliminate the pathogens. People that really don't know that if it wasn't for wine and beer, there would be no civilization. The planet would be very sparsely inhabited, and people would not live together, because you cannot live together unless you learn how to, boil water. And that wasn't something that people understood without beer and wine, because the fermenting process creates just enough alcohol to kill the pathogens. And so literally civilization was based upon beer and also wine. And so you do have to have a little fermentation to get rid of the pathogens, making it safe, even if the water in the region, if it's been tainted at all. The vineyard in this case is along the ridgeline, of course, of Zion. And that's on Moriah. It's between Dod's home and that of Yahweh and the covenant family. And it is therefore Dod who served as the Pesach El, the Passover lamb, who is represented by Thyrosh, this heir, and through whom we receive our inheritance by him fulfilling Pesach and Matzah, leading to Bekurim. And the Messiah and Son of God is not only the answer, he is the one who is being dispatched 3 different times for our benefits. His first of 3 lives, he was a prophet, he was king, he was Messiah, he was the Son of God, he was the uniter and the defender of Yisrael. He was an exemplar of what it is to be both Yisrael and covenant. And in his second of 3 lives, he opened the door to life, to God's whole. Yeah. Put out the welcome mat so that we could be perfected, removing our guilt so we could be comfortable in God's presence. And then demonstrated what it is like to be the firstborn child of Yahweh, enriched and empowered by him. And Shavuot is a celebration of that. Shavuot is also a doubling and 10-fold increase of that. In Bekurim, you are enriched and empowered, and then we are 10-fold enriched and empowered again on Shavuot. So there's an elevation, a geometric increase in our capabilities as a result. One of the next ingredients was Qatsyr. Qatsyr is glistening oil. It is symbolic, likely, of the Ruach, the Spirit. The Spirit is likely involved in facilitating these harvests. The Spirit was clearly involved, even though we're not told that the Spirit was involved in Bekurim. There's no way for Bekurim to have happened without the Spirit. And the reason for that is that we're told that once the Ruach came upon Dode, that the Ruach would never leave him. So if Dode is fulfilling Pesach and Matzah, on Matzah, where his soul takes our guilt into Sheol, the Ruach would be protecting his soul there, because the Ruach's never leaving him. And then the Ruach would provide the locomotion, if you will, from Sheol back to Yahowah. And so the Ruach represents a significant enabler for Dode in this respect. And the Spirit is associated with olive oil and olives for a number of reasons. And this include the realization that the principal ingredient and anointing, well, is olive oil. Olive oil offers a pure, clean, and brilliant source of light. And this was particularly true during the time that this was revealed. Olive trees are the longest lived and the most firmly rooted in Israel, producing the most valuable fruit in the Middle East at that time, which is why the final two witnesses are, of course, they're compared to branches of an olive tree. And the two most relevant of these, especially at this time, are Dode, who is the Shemek, the main branch off of the tree of lives, and his Choder, which is the smaller secondary branch from Dode and the tree of lives, but mostly a reflection of and a branch off the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And you might want to say, "Wow, well, why would you want to be associated with that tree of good and evil?" I'm not choosing to be associated with it. I'm just telling you that the association is certainly implied, because, well, first of all, Yahweh decided my name would be Yada, and so that gets you that gets you right to the tree, right? It's the tree of Yada, the tree of knowing, and the mission is expressing good and evil. Good and bad, and if you don't do what Yahweh does and expose the bad, then people have no appreciation for or no capacity to even understand what's good.
Yeah.
So you have to expose
and
condemn.
5 volumes of GDR out there for nothing, right?
That's correct. And 5 volumes of Twistianity and 3 volumes of Babel. So you're doing that for a reason. It is you might have to cut down a whole tree just to publish these books. So they may really be the physical representation of that tree. And they are a tree of knowledge of what's both good and what's bad. And you need to have both if you're going to understand who God is and what he's offering and what he's expecting from us as well. So I think that it's fair to say that the Choder is a stem off that tree of knowledge. And he is also a stem off of the tree of lives that Dode represents the main branch of that tree. Yahweh likes these kinds of metaphors, which is why the two witnesses are ascribed to olive trees in Zechariah. And so this is the reason that olives were chosen in this particular description by Yahweh. The Spirit's role is also important, representing olive oil again and preparing the Choder for his mission. And it's detailed throughout the 11th chapter of Yeshayah. And when that menorah over my shoulder there is illuminated, what kind of, what is it that creates the light for that menorah? Is it a wax candle?
Olive oil, yeah.
Olive oil, not a wax candle, right? It's olive oil. Burning candles is pagan. This is when it doesn't mean every time if you're going to your home and you want to have a romantic evening, you want to burn a candle, you're not doing a religious thing. But if you go to a church and you buy a candle to burn for Mary, well, that's a bad thing. But this when candles become a symbol of something that is political or religious, then that's not good. If they're candlelight champagne with your husband or wife, no problem. But God's source of light during the night is campfires, which he wants us to all sit around and enjoy. And a campfire is symbolic because, well, it not only prepares our food so it's healthy for us to eat and more flavorful, but it gets rid of the pathogens in the food. But it provides light so that we can read and see one another and enjoy one another's company. It provides warmth. It keeps away the animals that might otherwise harm us. It's actually even good to keep away those little mosquito buggers. But fire like that is exceedingly transformative, and it takes dead and decaying organic material and it transforms it into light energy, which is precisely what Yahowah is doing when we forego our bodies. So it's useful in that regard as well. So the Spirit's role, it has a role of preparing the choder. It is also essential for light, and more than this, the Towrah harvest is a olive harvest. Something more fully explained in Yashayah in conjunction with the time of Jacob's troubles, because it concludes with that olive harvest. So there's lots of things we can learn from this, and I think we managed to get through one verse and comment on the concluding verse in Yoel and our hour's time. That's not bad for us.
That's good.
Yeah,
good work.
Pretty good for us. So
way ahead of the curve.
Yep, I promised
Awesome.
I promised Wookie and my wife that we would keep it to 1 hour so we can be helpful. And her little swim party and Wookie and Asher's date with their favorite islander. They're quite excited about this whole thing. So we thank you for listening. Rich, thank you for making the technology work again.
You're welcome.
Good to see you as part of the show.
Absolutely.
Kevin and Kirk, always wonderful. Kirk, I would like to do a show with you on what you discovered in terms of the American Revolution, because it really does change our thinking. And I like it when we are presented with information that shows that we as people have been indoctrinated. We have been misled, and knowing the truth is helpful in situations like this, because if we can show that we were demonstrably and significantly misled about something that has as big an influence on the world today as the American Revolution, then people might also question, well, the rabbi influence on Israel, the Roman Catholic Church's influence on anti-Semitism in Europe and even the Holocaust, Islam's influence on the great genocide that killed a third of the Earth's population in its first 100 years. We have been misled on many things, and sometimes just uncovering one of them that is significant helps people say, well, if I was lied to about that,
right?
What else was I lied? What was I lied to about? Yes, and Kevin, I understand that we also have some more music to debut. One by Roger, who's one of my favorite writers, as part of the Covenant family. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a treat for us as we chog. And I am also excited to see the development of the studios that Rich has been able to add to us this last time of in the Ocean Studio with the panoramic views.
Awesome.
Isn't that it's so much richer as an environment, and to have Leah there on that swinging lounge and Wookie with the beautiful scenery at the sunset in the background. I just think it adds a layer, a dimension to these live streams that makes them so much more visually stimulating. And we're just going to continue to add technology to this so that we have a better and better program to get everyone's attention. And I think that you also know that we're doing our best to broaden out our outreach a bit now. It's it's becoming evident that Yahweh was right all along, that if it were not for the time of Jacob's troubles and the fact that Israel has no place to go other than to God, that they are so stubborn that it's going to be very difficult to get a significant number of Israelites to pay attention until they have no other option but to pay attention. And I wish it wasn't that way. Dode deserves better. Yahweh deserves better. We should all celebrate Yahweh's name and his goodness and Dode's generosity. While that option is chosen freely and thoughtfully, as opposed to a time when there is no other option available. But because that's the case, we are going to make certain that if there are goyim out there that want to be part of the Shabuah harvest, that they're given every opportunity to do so. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of this in the shorter show.
Shabbat Shalom together.
Yes. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom,
Good night,
y'all.
everyone.
Shalom.
Good night.
Good night.